Video games are under attack, according to analysis from Epilion CEO Matthew Ball. And no, it's not from someone with a different opinion than you on social media about how video game characters ought to look. Even though industry numbers might look healthy, it turns out all the meaningful growth has been sucked up by China and Roblox.
Yeah, this was kind of concerning to read about. The corner of gaming that we love and report on, specifically the PC console, AAA premium indie sector, has actually declined, which sucks. Basically, with Roblox snatching up all the new players and their money, game makers have raised prices and laid off employees to meet rising costs. So there's a lot of numbers, but it really does describe a lot of the trends we've seen, and it's not looking good. Not looking good.
So I want to make sure I thank Matthew Ball for doing a lot of this research, obviously, and then Lawrence for putting together this entire script, because Lawrence read through 164 slides of information. So thanks, Lawrence.
Oh, it flew right by. This stuff's fascinating to me, and also they're very well laid out. Lots of graphs. Oh boy.
All right, let's get into it. So, Epilion CEO Matthew Ball released the early access edition of his State of Gaming in 2026 presentation yesterday, illustrating just how lopsided the games industry growth has become.
Yeah, on a high enough level, the data all seems good. Video game content sales grew 5.3% year over year and hit an all-time high of about 195 billion.
Hey, that's great. All right, video games are great. That's great. But unfortunately, the lion's share of that growth is concentrated in Roblox and China.
Yeah, if you yank out Roblox, Chinese games, and console subscriptions, the industry is only up a measly $1 billion, or 0.9% since 2020.
Wow, that's really bad. Counting since 2021, the market has actually shrunk 1.8%. I'm betting that's because of the pandemic, right? It exploded in 2020 and 2021, and then it shrunk back down after the pandemic sort of let up.
Yeah, I mean, we could have at least hoped to maintain that, but yeah, it seems like we're losing people. It's not good. Console spending is up, but that's mostly due to services and subscriptions. I think we can all kind of feel that.
I was going to say, the thing that people love to hate, but for some reason continue to spend money on. 119% of spending growth since 2020 has gone to services. Game sales and transactions are actually down 11%, or nearly $3.7 billion.
Yeah, very eye-opening. And hey, if it feels like games are just getting more expensive, they are. Guess what? They are. The only companies that actually managed to find profits in this stretch did so by raising price, not by finding new customers and expanding their audience. And that's largely because Roblox has taken them all and then some, but more on that later.
Man, that sucks. Meanwhile, game developers, especially American game developers, are coming off a layoff spree to reduce costs, which we report on basically every day here.
Yeah, it seems like it's finally slowing down, at least, but it hasn't stopped. And this is represented by where people are spending money on payroll. A lot more game development is getting outsourced, with a spike in developers citing cost savings as the reason why.
The truth is that gaming's audience size and spend has remained stagnant. In the US, the game playing share of the population has actually decreased since before the pandemic.
Damn, yeah, similar story in Canada, South Korea, and the UK. Growth is at best flat since the pandemic.
That's wild. Germany and Japan are the few outliers. They've actually gained player share, though Japan's small and shrinking population drains that impact a little bit.
Yeah, the situation's pretty dire in Japan. Spending also follows similar trends to just player gain. Post-pandemic spending is also largely stagnant.
This is a problem because without new players to the games industry, it's a big problem. Revenue growth only comes from raising prices or monetizing non-paying players. Now, we talk a lot about both of those things on this show, and I get a lot of comments in our videos. They're always like, I don't understand. They constantly raise the price. They're always trying to monetize this. It doesn't make any sense. This is why.
Yeah, it's also why you can, when you're looking at this, when it all turns zero sum, the number of players and the amount of money, then the way you make money is by reducing costs. And that's why there's also a lot of mouth watering over AI. I mean, we can make these products for a third of the cost, or reduce our cost by a third, something like that. The zero-sum aspect also applies to new games. A new game can only acquire its players if it pulls them away from another game, something that might have affected Highguard pretty severely. People gave it a chance and decided they liked their old game better.
It implies a negative trend here. Losing player share implies the remaining players are playing and spending less. Now, obviously, the U.S. economy and the global economy not doing so hot. I would say it's probably pretty stagnant. And I know, Dow's over 50K, whatever, but generally speaking, pretty stagnant or declining in lots of places. So that may also be contributing to the fact that people are spending less on video games.
Yeah, they just have less spending money. It tracks for sure. There are negative trends in the player base that exist without implication, though. You can actually see the data. And this also it hurts my heart a little bit. Only 3.1 to 7.4% of PC and console time goes to new non-annual releases, and 5 games get half of that time.
All right, so what are the 5 games that get half the time?
Yeah, the presentation didn't say explicitly, but typically when you're talking about the big 5, it's things like GTA, EAFC, Call of Duty. Yeah, there's like Assassin's Creed, some of the semi-annual games that everyone always plays and just sinks loads of time into.
Yep. The average Steam user installs 3.8 games a year. That's actually down from 4.2 to 5.2 pre-pandemic, which I'm surprised about.
Yeah, there's more choice than ever, and people are playing fewer games individually than ever. And even the engaged players are exhibiting troubled behavior. They're playing fewer games, and even then, largely the older and much more established ones.
Like a Fortnite, of course. And that's on Steam. That's on Epic. But all right, so where is everybody going? That's the actual question. And Matthew Ball's doing a good job of sort of telling us. So while there's no concrete data showing it's the same people, the explosive rise in the usage of gambling apps, short-form video, and OnlyFans, that had to come from somewhere.
Yeah, these are the correlative trends we've seen in the last few years that you can kind of see might compete for the same time. TikTok and social media in general are being used more than ever, especially in the United States.
The United States just loves OnlyFans. Which, you know what, let's say a lot of people love OnlyFans, not just the United States, huh, Lawrence?
Well, sure, yeah, it's loved universally, don't get me wrong. It's more in terms of spend and time. The United States disproportionately, yeah, they love their content creators for sure. In addition, another strong trend in the last couple of years is what they call prediction markets, but it's gambling. I hate the fucking branding. Anyway, betting volume surged on Kalshi and Poly markets, so that's more money that could have gone to a video game that's now going somewhere else.
Online sports betting has also surged, which everybody knows, growing 35 times from 2019, which is why I see a fucking DraftKings ad literally everywhere I go, whether or not it's a streaming service or the internet. I'm so tired of forcing everybody to bet on football or basketball. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, the ubiquity is getting grimy. It just doesn't feel good, despite their attempt to brand it as something other than gambling. To maybe form a link, there's an interesting case study in India that sort of shows the opposite of this. A ban on real money gaming saw a return to spending growth on traditional video games. So like we said, there's no concrete data showing that person A is the same as the same person A over here. But certainly when people weren't allowed to give their money away to gambling, some of it seemed to go back in traditional games.
Oh, that's good. Matthew Ball summarizes the industry stagnation by writing, quote, "Video gaming's post-pandemic problem isn't that players choose to watch TikTok instead of buy a AAA game, or subscribe to OnlyFans instead of buying a PlayStation. It's that on a Friday evening, players are placing a growing share of their time and spend elsewhere."
Yeah, that could imply going outside, which I guess I would typically celebrate, but it could just mean on a different app or gambling instead of enjoying the unique pleasures of a video game. So we also previously mentioned the two singular factors that are masking all this stagnation by kind of buoying up the games industry, and that's China and Roblox.
All right, so let's start with China first. The Chinese market has grown 7.3% since 2021, compared to a decline of 4.5% in the mature market 8. What is that, Lawrence?
That's US, Canada, UK, Australia. I don't know that I could list them all from memory, but yes, it's just the biggest 8 spenders in video games that are pretty predictable in terms of their market. The only problem, if you want to call it a problem here, is that 84% of Chinese spending goes to Chinese-made games.
Oh, that's really interesting. Chinese-made games are also capturing more of the non-Chinese audience, growing from 10.7 to 14% in the last 6 years. And we saw that kind of with Black Myth Wukong. Wukong sort of broke through, and then all of a sudden it was selling like crazy, and everyone's like, where did this come from?
It's been building for a while, and it finally broke through in terms of culture and zeitgeist, yeah. Now for Roblox, which by itself is a singular driver of games industry growth.
This is wild. It was over 4.5% of all non-China games spend and accounted for 67% of the entire industry's net growth. That is insane.
It's scary, kinda.
Yeah.
It just means that, there's an entire universe now that's starting to it's like, I think of it as a mold. I'm sure that there's plenty of fun to be had on Roblox, but man, it seems to be sapping all the diversity out of everything, yeah. Roblox by itself, the stats continue and they boggle the mind. Roblox had more daily active users at the end of 2024 than PlayStation, Switch, or Xbox.
Jeez, that number grew 69% nice over the next year. Engagement also surged, of course. And now Roblox's quarterly engagement equals Steam, PlayStation, and Fortnite combined.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing new records from Steam, but the truth is, it just isn't Roblox, and probably won't be for a long time. Yeah, just to illustrate how big Roblox is, some individual Roblox games rival or even beat non-Roblox games outside of the service. And in some cases, individual games beat entire publishers, like Blizzard Entertainment, with just a fraction of the staff and the development cost.
This is just wild to read. And though it is on a vastly different scale, the PC platform remains a singular bright spot. Lawrence and I constantly we espouse PC. It's something that everybody should try. And if you're lucky enough to have, $400, $500 to get a PC, well, not anymore, maybe because of RAM. But if you're lucky enough to have a PC, a 1080 Ti floating around somewhere, you can fire up a bunch of Steam games and you'll probably get a really fun indie experience.
Yeah, PC is still an investment and a growth platform, which means that the dynamics we talked about, which is to say rising costs because the player growth has slowed, those don't really affect PC as much, so you can still get games for cheap, as opposed to something like a PlayStation. But yes, there was a reason for that. The PC is the only platform that has managed to skip a post-pandemic decline. It's actually shown steady increase in sales compared to consoles' comparative drop.
PC is actually growing even when you factor out China's growth. The presentation also acknowledges that a growth in Chinese spend is partially because Chinese players that used to use VPNs are now actually buying games in their own markets.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a slosh towards the Chinese spend there, but still, it's still a very real phenomenon. This I thought was kind of interesting. The presentation concludes that the video game industry, such as we talk about it or it's reported on, it's not really one industry anymore. It's several distinct industries that appeal to different audiences and are subject to different market forces. I think the tragedy there is it seems the segment of it that we really like, the console and PC industry, seems like it's been stagnant and in some cases even declining in the last 3 or 4 years.
Again, this is something we talk about a lot on this show because I think a lot of people that watch this show, again, correct me if I'm wrong, comments, but a lot of people that watch the show really do focus on the console and PC industry, and we have for a very long time. We're not old heads per se, but we have been following the industry for a while. I think a lot of our viewers are educated enough to know that about themselves. So when you see a China and a Roblox growing like this, China, that doesn't really scare me so much. It's exciting to see new games coming from a new part of the world. And, obviously we get a lot of like Marvel rivals, and we got Black Myth Wukong and a bunch of other sort of Wukong-likes that are coming out of China. Those are cool. I'm fine with all those. The Roblox thing, that gets me scared because you don't want one game or one publisher taking over an entire 2/3 of the industry. You don't want that.
Yeah, and an entire generation. I don't know how much those ties can be severed, but Roblox's engagement is extremely dense. It's very sticky. It has its own social network. It's got people that are on PlayStation stick with it because that's where their games are. It's where their friends are, all that stuff. Yeah, Roblox hit that even harder. And if you get potential gamers from age 5 and they're just investing in this singular service, they're not even going to want to look outside of that, even if the games are better or cheaper or whatever. So that's what bothers me is the stickiness of networks and network features now has really impacted competition in a frustrating way. I noticed something similar at beginning of pandemic when Game Pass was still cheap and Xbox Series S was the cheapest thing. I was shocked that more people didn't jump on that in terms of just for the pure value of it. People were still, even in the gaming circle, I think, preferring the prestige of buying a higher dollar console and preferred the ecosystem of PlayStation to being able to play hundreds of games for like $12 a month. Man, times were, well, I won't say they were good, but they were very different. But that's what a company that's investing and trying to discover new customers does. once a company decides they've gotten all the customers they're going to get, like Xbox has, now the consoles shoot up in price, the subscriptions shoot up in price because that's the only way to make the line go up.
It's a really scary part of this report in general. That was another scary part of this, besides the Roblox part, was the fact that you're talking about monetizing the audience as much as they possibly can, squeezing blood from a stone. And this is something that I talk about a lot on my stream, where it's like, I don't ever want anybody to feel like they're getting squeezed. And I feel like I'm getting squeezed every single day when I go sort of dive into the video games industry, other than Steam. Steam still feels like I can go on and it's like, oh, $4 for a video game. That's not bad at all. I'll fire that up and play it for 10 hours. It's great. But anywhere else, I'm just getting hit with ads and ways to spend more money on a subscription service, or ways to like Game Pass prices going up. It just doesn't feel good. And there's a reason. Like when I start to see this, I start to take note of it in my head and how often it happens. And the only reason is because of what we just read in this report. It's because they're running out of customers. And now I know that this sort of begs the question, well, what do? You don't spend the money on it. You cancel any subscription service. You don't buy the AAAs. I know a lot of people are saying that they're doing that, but I'm not sure that they are. So that's the only way to show these companies that it's not going to work. And then they will have to either lower their price or, I guess, go out of business. Right? Like it's like they either lay everybody off and go out of business, or they have to lower their price and compete. The scary part, again, about our macro economy is that they're just laying people off. It's not even that they're like trying to compete with lower prices. They're just firing people. And that is maybe the worst result of all of this.
Yeah, because it kicks off well. I guess it's considered a positive feedback loop with a negative outcome. Yeah, because it's a cycle that just starts eating itself, which is really, really tragic. I think it seems like the best way you can fight this trend, if you want to, what Bruce said is, spend your money with purpose. But if you have a cousin or a child or whatever, try to convince them to play something other than Roblox. They probably won't want to or whatever. Like I've talked to and heard from people that talk to younger generations, and yeah, Roblox is gaming. That's it. There's nothing else. It doesn't exist outside of those walls. So if you can maybe open an eye or two and help cultivate the next generation to be proper gamers, that's maybe a way to fight the tide a little bit here.
Lawrence also wrote in our script that we could say that Roblox and China are saving gaming.
Yeah, they kind of are.
But that's way less interesting. I don't necessarily think that we should put all of our eggs in the China and Roblox baskets.
Hey, if they're the only ones that are finding ways to get new customers and make money, they're doing something that everybody else isn't.
True.
With China, it is legitimately discovering new customers that are hungry to buy and play video games. And luckily for us, those do happen to be the sort of premium console titles like Black Myth Wukong. That's kind of good. Roblox, not really on our side in that regard. Different kind of game for a different kind of player with, I think, a different experience in mind, but I'm judging a little harshly there, I think. But still, yeah, it's not great. There was a time, and this is kind of millennial nostalgia here, but there was a time when the console AAA game was this. It was the biggest growing thing, so every company was hiring and making the biggest thing they could and trying to sell it for as cheap as they could. You could dispute that, but it was this, and now it's not. And I think that has, I think a lot of people have picked up on the cultural shift there, or at least the corporate shift, that it's no longer the crown jewel of the games industry, and a lot of the marketing and investment has reflected that.
Now, when it comes to capitalism, you do not want all of your eggs in one basket, in a Roblox basket. You don't. That's very, very bad for the free market. So that's why I'm saying, like, and again, whatever. You're playing Roblox, you're loving it. That's great. I'm glad. I'm super happy about it. Kind of sounds like what Minecraft was, 15 years ago, where everybody's playing Minecraft. A 7-year-old's playing Minecraft. A 30-year-old's playing Minecraft. But Minecraft didn't feel like it was trying to take your money all the time, like maybe Roblox is. And that's where I'm starting to worry.
There's plenty to worry about, but I guess what else is new? It's just another day on the internet. Hey, thank you very much for watching this show. Even though we don't go after the biggest topics, we don't cover gambling porn on Roblox. So your support is extra appreciated. It means that we can keep talking about the topics we like versus the ones that are the most popular. So if you enjoyed our show, consider subscribing. We also have a Patreon to keep the news engine turning. You should check it out sometime. All of our content is posted there for free. And get this, bonus memes, free memes on the internet. Every episode has a free hand-picked meme by me. I'm a meme grocer every morning, picking out the nicest apples and putting them in the front. So please go check that out too. We have some folks that kick us a little extra dollars to keep us in business, so we're going to shout them out now. Thank you very much, John Warren Gallardi, Liger Zero Panzer, Jack Willis, Talia Monochrome, and Dream Weaver for making our numbers always go up. Really appreciate that. We'll see you next time on Inside Games.